Marie Dubuque is with us. She is a certified life coach and author of 2 books, and she's here to talk to me about, we have the holiday season coming up, Lewis, and I know I'm expecting a number of awkward kind of social encounters, and I just have a number of questions, Marie, for you about. There's so many situations, and I feel a lot of people just don't know how to handle them. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. And especially around the holidays, because we're completely stressed. We have to visit our crazy relatives, and
Right.
nobody wants to do that. So, yeah, it's a hard time of the year.
I mean,
Supposed to be
I kind of
joyful.
have this like ongoing fear, this recurring nightmare that I'm going to go. I'm Jewish, and I worry that I'm going to show up at a Christian gathering, maybe related to Christmas or something like that. And as the guest, I will be asked to say grace, which I would just be absolutely horrified if this happened because not only am I not very religious at all, but I also have no idea what that would entail. What would be proper for me to do? I mean,
Okay,
do I
I
go
can
right
tell you
into,
because
yeah,
it's happened to me.
okay,
Because I'm half Jewish actually. I'm not very religious, and so I married into a very religious Catholic family,
right.
and so I'm not used to saying grace, and they say it like every night, and they do the whole, and I'm like I'm sitting there, and to this day I've been married 18 years, so I close my eyes and I put my hands together, and you know what? That is fine, and they're fine with it.
Wait a
So
second. So
that's what
you
we
don't
do.
you don't actually say anything?
No, 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 they do. And I'm the only one at the table that doesn't. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, but they're used to it. I'm used to it. And it's okay.
Okay, but
And
now
as
hold on a
long as
second though.
nobody
Wait.
makes you feel bad,
If you were asked to say grace though, isn't it on you to say? I'm saying not to if I have to participate, but what if I'm asked
oh,
as the guest of honor, so to speak, somewhere to offer some kind of a blessing? I mean, do I go into Baruch Atah Adonai without an explanation?
you know what? I think that would be fine. I've never been
Really?
asked. People know not to ask me to do
Right.
something like that, and they probably would not ask you too. But if it's a very religious family, but if they do, I would just say whatever you want. Really, say whatever you want. Say, I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you for this wonderful meal, and that's it. I mean, really, because if somebody judges you, then that's their problem, not your problem.
Would it be
So,
acceptable to say, I'm really just not religious, so I don't think I'd have anything to say? Or is that a little bit edgy? Is that maybe something to stay away from?
no, I would say it because I always say be honest. Be absolutely honest with everything. If you don't like a gift, be honest. Don't say I hate it,
Right.
but don't go on and on about how you love it. Say something about it and how thoughtful they are to give it to you, but don't lie. That's what I say.
A friend of mine had an incident recently, a kind of etiquette incident with his now ex-girlfriend, which may be an indication of how this incident
Ah,
went. And
oh
what
no.
happened was he was at one of these white tablecloth gala event dinners, and he accidentally spilled a little bit of red wine onto the white tablecloth. Now you can imagine that one little drop of wine just kind of starts to spread into this big kind of like Rorschach type ink blot.
Oh, your face gets as red as the tablecloth. Oh yeah.
Exactly. So he took, in order to try to kind of abate what was happening, he took his napkin off of his lap and he kind of started dabbing the white tablecloth on the table. After the event, his now ex-girlfriend was incredibly irate because she said it's so rude to take the napkin off of your lap and put it on the table before the end of the meal. And, it was all downhill from there. Can you give me a reading of that situation?
You know what? He should be glad he's through with her. Honestly, yeah, because that is so unkind of her to single him out
Right.
like that. And that's what I think etiquette is about. It's not about knives and forks. It's about kindness. And that certainly was not. Why did she make such a big deal about it? Gosh, the guy was trying to clean it up. I would have done the same exact thing because you're like, oh no, they're going to have this big stain on this beautiful tablecloth. And I got to do something about it. I'd be getting the seltzer water. I wouldn't just take the water. I would be getting the seltzer water and making a big deal about it, trying to help him.
This
So,
was my reaction. I think so. So maybe he's in good shape then. And then I have
oh,
to ask about workplace related etiquette. Would you say that it's appropriate to take one's shoes off during the production of radio and television programs? If you're a producer, not a host, I would
is
never
that
do this.
Lewis? All right, did Lewis do that? I've
L-
been watching your show.
yeah, Lewis does not wear shoes during the production of this show, and I'm just curious. Like, what's the etiquette on that? Because people are very mixed on it.
But nobody sees your feet. I worked in television a long time ago, and I would wear this really nice suit, then I'd have blue jeans and socks on and no shoes too. So whatever.
So it's
You're
not a big
very
deal.
nice manners, Lewis. I just want to say.
Well, I mean, in all reality, I could be pantsless and no one would know, right?
Right, right.
Or you could be like Larry King used to do and be wearing cowboy boots.
Well, that will never happen, I promise.
Okay. And then,
Now, do you have a company party? Because that's one question I get a lot is these company parties stress people out to no end. Do you guys have that? Were you?
We're not really quite at that level yet, but I would hope Lewis would wear shoes to that at least. I mean, I don't know. And my last question here this is kind of a relationship question, and I hope I'm not, it's a very complicated question with a lot of backstory that we don't really want to get into, but is it possible to maintain a relationship with, assuming when both people meet, they live separately? And if one person really has an aversion to sleepovers, in other words, once the night is kind of done, one of the parties is just kind of sent home as a general thing. Like, could a relationship be sustainable long term with that kind of arrangement, or is that trouble?
That sounds like a Seinfeld episode. I think that is great because honestly, I believe that people should maintain separate residences unless, now I don't want to get into this, but unless you're going to get married, and I think the only reason people should get married is if they're going to have kids, because otherwise, I mean, would you enter into a business partnership with just anybody? No, it's a financial entanglement. So if you're going to get married and you're going to have kids, great. But if you don't want to have kids, don't bother to get married. Maintain separate residences. I'm not a lawyer, but then you can keep your finances separate, because even if you cohabitate for a certain amount of time, you're a common law. So anyway, what I say is try to keep your finances separate, maintain separate residences. In fact, I know of a couple, they're both around 50 years old. They just got married. She kept her own place. And
but she's allowed to sleep over sometimes, right?
Yeah, right. And so then, but she leaves when the kids are over at her husband's house. And so she leaves and goes back to her place. And I think, you know what? We should all have marriages like that. So yes, absolutely.
Wow. Well,
I'm radical in my thinking, but
this is incredible. I can't believe what we've uncovered today. We've been speaking with Marie Dubuque, life coach, author of 2 books, and how polished are our holiday manners? I guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. Really a pleasure to speak with you, Marie.
Nice talking to you. Thanks so much for having me on your show.